Today, we're going to dive deep into a single, really powerful exchange from the Quran, Surah Al-Qasas. It's a conversation that pits faith directly against fear, and in doing so, it reveals some profound truths about what divine blessings really are. Let's get into it. So right there, that's the heart of the whole conflict. The people of Mecca are being offered this new spiritual path, but their reaction isn't about theology. No, it's about raw, gut-level survival. They're terrified that if they accept this guidance, their entire social and economic world will just collapse. They think they'll be literally swept away, losing their home, their culture, their entire identity. So to really get a handle on the divine response to this very human fear, here's the path we're going to take. First, we'll look at this crisis of faith they're having. Then, we're going to unpack the three big blessings they're reminded of: security, sustenance, and the ultimate gift, guidance. And finally, we'll look at a pretty stark warning from history that puts a lot of weight on their final choice. All right, so let's jump right into that fundamental dilemma. This isn't just some ancient story. It's a timeless struggle that I think we can all relate to, that tension between what you believe in your heart and what you think you need to do to survive in the real world. You have to understand their fear was incredibly practical. Mecca was this bustling hub of trade and pilgrimage, and its entire social structure was built around its traditions. So to just abandon all that, well, it wasn't just changing what you believe. It was a direct threat to your income, your political alliances, your whole place in the world. They honestly saw it as an impossible choice: God or their entire way of life. Now, the divine response here is fascinating. It doesn't start with a promise of some amazing reward in the future. Instead, it begins with a powerful reminder of a blessing they already have, one they've maybe completely forgotten about or just take for granted. And that blessing is security. And this concept of or security is absolutely crucial. This isn't just about the absence of war, not having soldiers at your gates. It's much deeper. It means a sacred, divinely guaranteed peace. The implication is that the safety of their city isn't something they achieved. It was a pre-existing gift from the very same God they are now hesitating to trust. And the verse confronts their fear head-on with this rhetorical question: have we not established for them a safe sanctuary? That Arabic phrase, haraman aminan, is key. It's almost as if it's saying, hold on, you're worried about being swept away? Have you completely forgotten that we are the very reason your land is this island of peace in the middle of a chaotic world? So, building on that foundation of security, the argument then moves to their other big fear: their money, their livelihood. It tackles their economic anxiety directly by talking about sustenance or risk. And this is where the text points out the sheer miracle of their situation. I mean, Mecca is a barren valley. It's desert. You can't farm there, and yet the city is overflowing with abundance. So this isn't just normal trade. The text calls it rizqan min laduna, a provision coming directly from God's presence. It's an undeniable sign of his power right in front of their faces. So the crucial point here is that their entire economy is already built on a miracle. The verse says that fruits of every kind are brought to them. This means their prosperity has nothing to do with their own local resources. It's plugged into a divine supply chain. The argument is so simple, but so powerful. If God is already providing for you in this extraordinary way, why would you suddenly fear that he would let you starve just for following his guidance? Okay, so having dealt with their material fears, their safety, and their finances, the conversation takes a turn. It elevates to the very thing they were so afraid to accept in the first place: guidance. And this is presented as the greatest blessing of them all. This brings us to a really interesting paradox. If they're already safe and they're already well-fed, what more could possibly be on offer? Why would you risk a comfortable life for some uncertain spiritual future? And this is where the true nature of hidayah, or guidance, really comes into focus. See, hidayah isn't presented as some kind of transaction. It's framed as an act of pure mercy. It's not just another item to check off on a list of blessings. It's the light that illuminates the value of all the other blessings. It's what gives life purpose. It's the answer to the big why of our existence, which is a question that's just as relevant today as it was back then. Let's try an analogy. Think of it like a house. Security, that's your strong foundation and your solid walls. Sustenance is all the food in the pantry and the comfortable furniture. Both are essential, right? But guidance, that's the light. That's the sunlight pouring through the windows. Without that light, you're just sitting in a perfectly safe, well-stocked house.
in total darkness. You can't navigate, you can't appreciate anything, you can't live with purpose. Guidance is what gives all the other blessings their ultimate meaning. But the divine argument isn't over yet. After laying out all these incredible blessings, a very stark warning is delivered. And it really raises the stakes. What happens when a society has all the material gifts but rejects the spiritual guidance that's supposed to give them meaning? This verse is chillingly direct. It talks about entire civilizations from the past that were destroyed, and pay close attention to the reason why. It wasn't because they were poor. It was because they became arrogant in their prosperity. They had all the material blessings, but with that came arrogance and ingratitude, and they turned their back on the deeper truth. The message here is crystal clear. According to this text, a society that's built only on material security and economic wealth without a moral and spiritual compass is actually built on a very fragile foundation. History is presented as a graveyard of nations that had everything you could want, but lost it all because they became arrogant and rejected divine guidance. In the end, all their material stuff wasn't enough to save them. And so we're left with this final, really powerful question. The verse forces us to think about what truly holds a civilization together. Is it the physical security and the economic abundance, the things we can measure and count? Or is it the intangible, spiritual guidance that shapes a people's character, their purpose, and ultimately their destiny? That choice is what lies at the very heart of this profound passage.